I want to talk about unemployment numbers. Um, you've probably been hearing about the fact that unemployment is declining. Numbers are getting better. And as a result of that, specifically Republicans, they now don't think we need such a large stimulus package because more people are, or fewer people are employed. Let's talk about that. I actually had a conversation online with someone about this not too long ago. I think probably maybe 2-3 days ago online. When you look at these lower unemployment rates, I want you to think about how the numbers are calculated. Unemployment rates are not the number of Americans that we have that are labeled as unemployed don't get counted just by the government guessing. Okay. We get that number based on people who file weekly unemployment claims with their state. Keep in mind, you can only get unemployment if you are actively looking for employment currently. But in addition to that, and this is the key thing that I think most people need to take away and understand, is that we don't have an unlimited time in which people can claim unemployment benefits. So once a person exhausts their unemployment benefits, which if you listen to the last episode I did, I talked about how typically it's 26 weeks for the state. Once those 26 weeks are up, you can no longer get unemployment benefits. So then the question becomes, if you are no longer getting unemployment benefits and the government comes to understand who was unemployed by the number of people getting those benefits, once you stop getting those benefits, you're no longer counted in the numbers. And again, there is a time limit to the number of weeks a person can claim unemployment. Now, I could be wrong. Somebody please let me know. Is there a situation where any state here in the United States of America still asks people to report weekly that they are unemployed, even though the state is not paying them any benefits? To the best of my knowledge, that is not the case. So what that says to me is that, again, the point at which somebody exhausts their unemployment benefits, that person no longer has their face, their situation tallied in the unemployment numbers. So when you actually really look at that and consider that, that actually bodes well for the numbers themselves. How so? Because you ultimately know that the maximum amount of time that a person can be counted on average in the United States as unemployed is 26 weeks. And you actually know that nobody is going to be unemployed forever. Nobody is going to be unemployed for years. 26 weeks. And then they just magically disappear. Wouldn't it be awesome if your debts worked that way? It's like you knew you had to pay them. You paid, some of your monthly payments, but you knew in this amount of time, in 26 weeks, the debt will just disappear. You'll actually not feel so bad about it. And maybe that's why some of our politicians don't feel so bad about these unemployment numbers, because they know people are just automatically going to disappear off the rolls because we don't count them I mean, and actually, when you look at the kind of exchange, the government is saying, we'll give you money in exchange for being able to count you as unemployed. But there's no incentive, nor is there any current program set up to count people as unemployed once that incentive of a payment to that person is gone. So again, hear me very clear. People are not counted when unemployment runs out. The conversation I was having with somebody, and it was in an economic forum online, and the person was like, well, you just don't understand because states, they do count like the long-term unemployed. Well, the long-term unemployed are people who essentially reach that maximum threshold that the state allows as the maximum number of weeks that you can be counted as unemployed. Again, if I'm wrong, somebody please inform me of some way where states, some sort of government, state, local, federal, whatever, reaches out to people on a regular basis and says, well, hey, are you unemployed? But they're not paying them. We don't have that. So literally, again, once a person exhausts their benefits, they just disappear. And so when they disappear, what happens? The numbers go down. It's kind of like a self-cleaning oven. It gets dirty. The buildup happens. But this is a self-cleaning oven where you don't even have to press a button. It just automatically turns on and cleans itself because they just disappear off the rolls. So I say this because I don't want you to be fooled. When you hear politicians, namely those on the right, who want to tell you things are getting better. When they tell you things are getting better, I want you to close your ears and open your eyes. Close your ears. Look at your situation. Look at the situation of those around you. Look at the situation of those you love. Look at the situation of those in your community. Those are the numbers that you need to believe. My company had 25 people. Now we have 10. That should be your unemployment rate. I have 3 siblings. So my parents have 4 kids. I'm the only one with a job now. That should be the unemployment rate that you calculate. Again, politics is about perception. And all politicians, here's the deal. I've said before, here we go, using the words of President-elect. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Politicians, they cannot be politicians. They cannot get to where they are without doing what is politically expedient. So as much as I demonize people who do things that are politically expedient, know and realize that I realize that is necessary in politics. However, if they are a person who genuinely places the interests of the American people above that of their own, which sometimes and most often they'll find that their personal interests conflict with the interests of the American people, what we should have is a situation where they are willing to put themselves on the chopping block. Maybe it means that they lose their current position in politics, but you know what? In case you didn't know, politicians, just because they're not a politician anymore, even if they don't go back to the private sector, they have so many options available to them that allows them to stay in politics, just not in the same position. Maybe they get into lobbying. Maybe they, get into being, with the super PACs such as ours. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many different options available to these people. So don't feel bad. Like, oh my gosh, their families aren't going to be able to eat because they're going to be out of a job. Like, no, it's not that cut and dry for these people. Okay. But so here's what I want you to understand. That said, remember, I mentioned Republicans, they are using this data to say, well, look, we don't need to do anything, or we just need to give out a few nickels because it's not that bad. They're doing that not because they even genuinely believe it. They're doing it because it's politically expedient. They didn't want to give you money anyway. They just are now able to use that data. to support their claims. Again, I said earlier in a different segment for this episode, you can use data to say whatever you want it to say. You can use it to and have it be interpreted however you like. You don't even believe what I'm saying. Just believe the methodology. The methodology here is that when a person exhausts their benefits, and again, if you don't believe me, please find for yourself, tell me about something, some other way that they count unemployed people, because they can't just guess the number. Well, last week we had 50,000 unemployed people here in this city, so we're just going to assume they have to count these numbers. If they're not giving them unemployment benefits in exchange for being able to count them, how are they determining who is unemployed? Once that 26 weeks is up, how are they determined? They don't. This is how the numbers appear to get better. This is why we need to demand that they actually give us real unemployment numbers. And the real unemployment numbers say that, yes, we are paying people, the state is paying people 26 weeks of unemployment, but there are other people who they're not getting money anymore. They've exhausted their benefits, but they're still sitting at home searching every day for a job, but can't find one because of COVID-19. We need those real unemployment numbers. And honestly, as Americans, we need to start demanding that. Maybe it means that, hey, unemployment has to last a little bit long. I mean, the solution is obviously not just like pay people indefinitely, but we've got to have something, or we at least have to be honest about these numbers as we actually report them. Because as they're being reported now, like, oh, it's getting better because the economy is getting, that's not what's happening. What's happening is they are falling off the freaking rolls and you are no longer counting them. An example of this, for instance, let me take a sip of my coffee here. An example of this was when you looked at individual states. You had states that would report, our unemployment numbers are getting better because our fewer people are on unemployment, right? On the surface, that sounds great. But when you actually looked at what was happening, under the CARES Act, we had the pandemic unemployment compensation thing or something. All these PUEC, PPPP. I really think they like the letter P. I think that's like their favorite letter to use. But so you had a federally government-funded program where essentially what was happening is people were coming off of state unemployment, and then they were automatically being transitioned onto federal unemployment. But the states were going around, certain states were going around talking about, oh, things aren't so bad here. Our unemployment numbers are dropping. Yeah, they're dropping, but tell the rest of the freaking story. The rest of the story is that your unemployed people are going on to federal programs and they're still unemployed. And then the people who fall off of those federal programs, as they're about to do on the 26th of December, the last week of December, what's going to happen then? You're going to have, in January, the numbers got so better, the economy is booming. No, what happened is that a lot of people just lost access to their unemployment benefits. I'm telling you this before it happens. Mark my words. The Trump administration isn't going to be saying anything because they're too busy dealing with their eviction notice. But you're going to have Republicans in office who have been reelected or who weren't up for reelection in this last cycle. They're going to be saying, see, the economy is booming. America's great again, baby. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is people have fallen off the rolls. And in some cases, like the federal program, the rolls have been thrown in the trash because they're not available anymore. Economists, what they are saying at this point, with us dealing with a surge in COVID-19, and I will say it again, and hopefully you're tired of hearing me say it because I'm tired of saying it. We have now decided as a country that 150 plus freaking thousand Americans getting COVID-19 is okay. That is not okay. We've decided that well over 1,000 people, Americans, humans, fellow human beings, dying every day needlessly is okay. That is not okay. But economists are saying with the surge in COVID-19 numbers, with more and more people getting COVID-19, and with stimulus benefits running out. We covered that in the last episode. We talked, I think it was about 5 different forms of stimulus that either are running out by the 31st or already have ran out for people. When you couple those things together, the economy literally, and this is the words that was used, the word hobbled. The economy is going to be hobbled. It's going to be beat and bludgeoned and just it's going to be hobbling along. Our economy should have been up and running. Our economy should have been okay, at least stabilized, but we still need life support. We are in critical condition. Things are literally getting worse daily. Don't believe me? Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers of your fellow Americans who are getting COVID every day. And if you don't care about that, you, my friend, you're not really an American. You may have citizenship, but you do not have the American spirit within you, because Americans care about fellow Americans, even those we don't know, we've never met. We care that they are okay. Y'all better be glad that I'm not the president. I love politics, but I promise you, I will never run for political office. But if I were president, you know what President Brittany's plan would be? All of y'all would be locked up in the house. If I see you, open your door and come out. You are going to jail, and you are going to jail immediately. And then when you go to jail, and when we run out of prison space, because I understand that some of y'all are so stupid and don't care about trying to beat this virus, you want to come out your house, throw your COVID parties. All of our prisons are going to fill up. And again, this is just if this was President Brittany. Then what we would do, these companies that were closing, all this extra space, I would just put all y'all in there. And then when a COVID outbreak happened, I wouldn't give you any medical attention. You didn't believe in science. You didn't believe in, beating the virus. You thought it was a hoax. Okay, deal with it by yourself, all of you together. Good luck. Again, I'd lock you all up. But on the flip side, I understand that to make that happen, you guys need to pay your bills. You guys need food. So I'd give you stimulus checks on a recurring basis. I'd give everybody. Okay, stay up in the house, order all the Amazon, watch all the Netflix you want, work from home if you can. I'd help businesses, but they wouldn't be my main priority. The consumers, the average, everyday American would be. But again, key point that I want to make very, very clear. I'd lock you all up in your homes. And if you didn't stay in your home, I'd lock you up and take you to jail. You better be glad I am not the president, because I can guarantee you we'd have a hard lockdown for about a month. Would COVID completely disappear? Probably not, but we would not have 150,000 Americans contracting COVID and over 1,000 dying every day, because that's not okay. That would never be okay with me. And I think it's sad that it's okay with so many of you. Not you personally, because I understand people listening to me probably don't think that. But again, be glad that I am not the president, because our prisons would be full. Would be full of people you know. I was talking to a family member, and the family member said that they literally just went to the store, and I was telling her, man, I said, if I was president, and just giving her my plans, and I said, look, you would have just went to jail. I'd put my own family in jail. My mom went to a doctor's appointment yesterday, and I went with her. So I'd probably lock me and her up together, because we all need, that's how, man, the country would hate me. But you know what? The country would be safe. Country would be great again. And I'm going to end with this. In the last episode, I talked about how I really don't think that any other Democratic challenger during the Democratic primary would have been elected, other than Joe Biden. Everyone else was too far left, right? And Joe Biden, President-elect Biden, was the centrist that even had a remote chance of being able to kind of, sort of, hopefully unify America. But there is somebody I want to pay mention to, because I think that conditions were not right for him at the time when he was on the scene. But had he been on the scene a little bit later, or if COVID had happened a little earlier, I think that he probably would have been a better option, and he's way to the left compared to Biden. And that's Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang is the universal income guy, right? That's what he's known for. That's what his brand has been, universal income. When most people think of Andrew Yang, you think of UBI, universal basic income. When he was in the race, COVID was not raging. COVID was not a thing, right? It was, it was barely, it wasn't a thing. And I honestly believe with every bone in my body that had COVID been surging, or at least really super close to surging at the time that he was in the race, he would have been a more optimal candidate because of the appeal that he would have had to the masses, given what we are dealing with. And he would have been the man for the job, quite frankly, more so than Joe Biden. I think Andrew Yang would have done more to unify the Democrats, maybe in a way, but he would have done more to unify the Democrats, but I don't know if he would have been able to unify the country in the way that Joe Biden can, in a way that would have led to the Democrats winning the presidency. But I just kind of an interesting note that I just kind of wanted to point out. So again, had COVID kind of been raging, I think that Andrew Yang could have been the guy, and quite frankly, probably should have been the guy.